Then I'm Kelly Everly Hedrick. We spoke late on Friday last week, and I'm making this video for you to show you a couple of things that you can do today to bring more customers to your business. But you're probably wondering why I would take the time to film this video and record this. What's in it for me? And honestly, I get it. But the online world is full of people pitching things left and right. But the truth is, most local business owners are so busy actually running their business that they don't always have time to take this deep dive into how the internet and all of these little SEO levers can help work for them. So, what I found over time is that when I show people a few small things that they can do right completely on their own, it helps them to see how everything fits together. And usually, one of two things happens: either they take the ideas and they run with them and do it themselves, which is amazing, or they realize, you know what, Kelly, hey, I'd love to have someone help me make this faster. So either way, my goal here is just to educate and to empower you at this point and to give you a clear picture of what's already working great. And you have quite a few things that are really working great for you. And a few ways that we can make some things work harder for you. So we're going to talk about three things, and that's going to be content, citations, and backlinks. And we're going to start with content because let's face it, that's the foundation of everything. And I think probably from just looking at where you are ranking, looking at your map pack, looking at your website, you understand the importance of content. I think you have like 2,700 words on your homepage, which is really great for content. You've already done a really strong job building out solid service pages that you have here, some real detailed service pages, and your cities. But what I really, and you've got city pages here, but what I really like to look for next is how you can take that content and make it more strategically localized. And there's a particular reason why I'm saying that, and it's because you're doing so well in your rankings. You obviously know what you're doing when it comes to your SEO. A lot of times, what I'm seeing is that you are up against the franchises, right? Those big guys that have tens of thousands of words, they're pulling content, they have tons of backlinks, they link back and forth to each other, and they are just gobbling up, in some places, the traffic, even though you're ranking nice and high. So that's why I'm kind of looked at that next step, which is strategically ranking locally. Because Google doesn't just reward the person with the most words on its page. It rewards the most relevant words. And a lot of those relevant words can come in the form of neighborhoods and real customers and real search intent. So I think you kind of started to do it. If we take a look at the McKinney page, I think that's where I found it was on the McKinney page. Don't know why it's not clicking. Sorry about that. Give it a sec. Where you started to list out neighborhoods. So here you list out the things that you do, but yeah. So right here, Craig Ranch, Stonebridge Ranch, El Dorado Heights. This is hyper localized content for your McKinney page, which is really great. They're not clickable. And someone like you with a great foundation sometimes will create city specific hub pages, something like junk removal in the city name, or connecting those smaller pages to the actual neighborhoods that are inside that city, because everyone who lives in McKinney knows those neighborhoods, right? And Google can really tell the difference between that hyper localized content and just generic content, right? The other thing that I was super curious about is when we list your cities, Dallas isn't listed in here. And when we take a look at you can see right here, this is junk removal Dallas. I was looking at all your cities, junk removal in different cities, junk removal Dallas. Dallas isn't listed as one of your service areas, but you are ranking number 2 in the map pack. And I think ranking behind you're like number 3 in the organic traffic, which leaves these folks, which are franchisees, to see where we can gobble up some traffic for you on your website, right? And before we pop off of it, that was me getting a little bit ahead of myself, popping into this section here. So let me back up a second, and let's go to an overview of your website and content. I don't know if you've ever seen this tool. It's called Ahrefs. And what it does is gives us a peek underneath the hood of what is going on inside your website. So when we take a look at your website right here, taking a look at all of the domains, what we see is that in content, you're being found for 46 organic keywords. When I click on that, you can get a picture down here. Junk removal Dallas was the first one that popped up, which is one of the reasons why I was super curious why Dallas wasn't listed on your listing. But yeah, junk removal Dallas is here. So take a look at this. This is volume. This is every single month. 1,100 people are searching junk removal Dallas, and you're grabbing 47 of those looks. Okay. But when we take a look at here, let's get to the overview section. We're going to look at that top. We're going to take a peek at your top competitor in the franchise world, which is Junk King Dallas, and we'll take a look at their organic keywords. Junk removal Dallas, this shows 1,200 people, which is, 1,200 looks per month of search volume for this keyword. They're grabbing 452 looks. That's 10 times more than what you have. So really, they are some of your biggest competitors in this market, since you are outpacing most of the other folks who are just local junk removal folks. So organic keywords, interesting to me that you're showing up for junk removal Dallas, but you don't have it listed. So hopefully we'll get a chance to talk a little bit more, and I can understand why that is. Maybe that's something that you're working on currently. But the other portion that I wanted to, one more thing I want to touch on in content before we jump over into citations, and that is you've got a beautiful website. It's got great pictures. But even what's behind the pictures, excuse me, even what's behind the pictures can be working for you, and they aren't. So if you go to your website and you right click and you click Save Image As, you can see that this image is called IMG with a whole bunch of numbers and letters behind it. You could be putting keywords in there. So if there's things that you're trying to rank for, say you were hyper focused on doing hot tub removal, it would be hot tub removal McKinney. In this, you have the opportunity that you're not quite utilizing right now with every single picture that is on your website to save these images with some keyword specific stuff right behind it, so Google can help to rank you better. So that's one thing I wanted to touch on before we left content that I noticed. So now let's talk about citations, because even businesses that are already having amazing coverage can still find hidden opportunities here. And citations are those trusted mentions of your business, the name, address, and phone number of your business right here. And you likely have all of the big ones: Yelp, Angie, Better Business Bureau, maybe even Home Advisor, Yahoo Local Pages, all of these ones that are pretty standard for getting you ranked in the map pack. And that's what citations do. Citations are so important for getting you ranked on this map results that you see here. But I think for you, hyper local mentions, remember we're going hyper local to kind of focus, because you have done all of the other stuff. You are next level SEO right now. We're going to do hyper local mentions, things like getting into the city directories, getting into local chamber of commerce listings, or a local event sponsorship that you maybe have done. So things like, and I know people do this often. So up here in this area, there's a lot of businesses that will sponsor the uniforms. I know for my daughter's lacrosse team, there's one of a business sponsors the one of the businesses sponsors their uniforms, and so they have links and directory mentions inside of the McKinney Lacrosse Club and all of the local, because it's a, it's a local citation for them, and a local mention that Google likes to see, hyper localized inside of McKinney. That is telling Google that this business is not just around the city, that it's really a part of the city. And that's really the kind of local trust signals that corporate sites, even big franchises, can't replicate. Now, sometimes they can, but a lot of times when you get into the nitty gritty and you're down there doing things with the city, and I'm thinking about Dallas, for instance, because let's face it, you want to pull their these guys are getting 10 times more looks to their website than you are. And we want to pull some of that away from them. Um, so then we're going to talk about the last thing that we're going to talk about are backlinks. It's one of those SEO buzzwords that can sound complicated. So let's pop back into, we're going to go back into that overview, into that Ahrefs tool that I talked about that we use to kind of get a behind the scenes look at your website. And we're going to take a look at backlinks. Okay. And again, I'm just comparing you to Junk King because that feels like the 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is where you are and where you're competing at this point. So backlinks are really just about who's vouching for you online. And big national brands always have backlinks everywhere, but they're not hyper localized. And Google definitely notices the difference, like I mentioned before. A few quality backlinks. So let's take a look. They look at the number of backlinks they have, 184. This is where I can explain that you have 1,100 backlinks. So it's not always about the total number of backlinks that you have. What it's about is the quality of the backlinks that you have. And I took a look back here, and some of what you have is really, really good. Some of them, though, so you can see this link, this link, this link, all have zero traffic, big fat zeros. So they really aren't doing you any favors by being part of that. Now, this looks like you had a, let's see here, a service announcement or something like that. That one's really good. That one had 1.4 million. So that one's a really great backlink, something that's pointing another website that is pointing back to your webpage. Now, in comparison, remember you had 1,100 on yours. They have 184, which is just telling me that the quality of their backlinks is greater than the quality of your backlinks because they're being able to rank higher with fewer backlinks. So the good news is success leaves clues. And what you can always do is take a peek back here and find out where your competition has done their backlinks and go try to get those same backlinks and then get even more. Right? So the goal is not to equal them. The goal is to surpass them and to dominate in your area, right? So think of it kind of like this for backlinks. When a local chamber of commerce or a neighborhood publication or any other business kind of links to you, that's Google hearing the community saying, yep, they are the go-to people in this area. So looking at your business, really, you're already ranking beautifully in nearby cities. That means that Google already trusts you and thinks that you have authority there, right? But the next step is simply to teach Google that your authority extends into the bigger metro areas too, because there's a lot of opportunity sitting out there just by looking at that search volume and the discrepancies between the search volume. So a lot of business still to grab, even though you're killing it with your really great website there. And by adding photos and posts, adding just a few city specific content clusters, maybe some photos and posts that are tagged properly, right? So behind them in those pictures need to be those keywords that you're trying to rank for, and reinforcing it with local citations and backlinks from those cities. That's when you are going to start to see your brand pull traffic directly away from those bigger names. And you don't do it by outspending them. You do it by out localizing them. And that's the way you pull from those big competitors. So really, man, that's the big picture. The goal with the screenshot is never to overwhelm. And I hope it was clear. I hope it was understandable. And you're really doing so much that's right now. And these are just small strategic refinements that make all the difference in visibility and lead flow. And so, okay, Kelly, now what? Well, you can go with this information that I provided to you and you can use it on your own if you like. And I'm totally fine with that. However, if you want the most effective route, you can always reach back out to me. My number is 469-238-1124. I would love to work with a business owner like you that really knows the value of good strategy. Next call is with me. It's no pitch. It's just to get to know you, get to understand your business, get to make some sense. I can see the numbers. I can see what's going on in the back. But what I don't know is what your overall strategy and things like that are. So I'd love to see where your business can grow. I'll talk to you soon.